There are shows with psychics.
And there are shows with doctors.
But there's no show like The Psychic and the Doc.
Your practical paranormal power unleashed.
This show synthesizes the talents of world-class medium Mark Anthony, the psychic lawyer, psychic explorer,
and street smart spiritualist, behavioral psychologist, Dr. Pat Baccili. All subjects are on the table and no topic is taboo. Inspiration, insight,
action, and fun as Mark Anthony connects callers with loved ones in spirit.
In tandem with Dr. Pat's fresh, no-nonsense, street smart, intuitive insights. And she is hilarious.
Extraordinary problems
require extraordinary solutions, which may come from this side
or the other side. This is The Psychic
and the Doc, and it starts now.
That's what we're talking about. Love it. Hey, Mark, I'm Dr. Pat. I'm here with my friend, my colleague, the most amazing psychic explorer, psychic lawyer. Yeah. All of the above, Mark Anthony. We've got a great show for everybody today. I want to say to you all out there, if you're on Facebook, Daniel's going to be monitoring Facebook if you've got questions. This is a live call-in show tonight. It's all about you. And what we're doing with this show tonight is talking about love. Love has no gender. It's Pride Month 2022. So we're going to be sharing some really cool, interesting facts with you, but also we here as a network, and Mark and others, we are the believers that love rules. That's what I'm talking about. Thank you all for tuning us. Mark, you excited about tonight?
I am. And, we're kicking off Pride Month because love is love. And it's also Queen Elizabeth's 70th year on the throne. And what's fascinating is I was reading about Queen Elizabeth and the royal family's support for the LGBT community. In fact, her cousin, Lord of Mountbatten, came out as gay in 2016, and she went to his wedding. He got married to another gentleman. And certainly we know that Princess Diana back in, way back when, did a lot of work with the AIDS community, but they're showing how not only Her Majesty, but also Prince William, Kate Middleton, Prince Harry, Meghan Markle are out there. And Dr. Pat and I, and, we mean this in the most positive way, said the Queen supports Queens. Yeah. And, but we mean that in a very positive way. And, Queen Elizabeth, I've actually seen her twice. I was at a reception at the Rhodes House at Oxford. It was a reception for Rhodes Scholars. And all of a sudden, this big Rolls Royce surrounded by all these motorcycle cops pulls up. And this little tiny lady, she's a little tiny thing, jumps out in this bright canary yellow dress with this big yellow hat. She waves to the crowd, hello, like that. And it was just so cool. And then a week later, Dr. Pat, I'm in Scotland at Holyrood Palace. And this Rolls Royce pulls up and this little tiny lady jumps out in this lime green dress with a giant hat. Hello, she's waving to the crowd. And it was really cool because I felt very, very privileged to have been able to see the Queen twice. And she was very, very gracious, really sweet to everybody. And, power to her. She's 96. She just lost her husband, Prince Philip. And she has set the bar very high for treating people with respect.
Yeah. How do we know that? We don't have the kind of situations we're going through right now in this country. We don't have a country divided on it. There are countries that are across the globe that you watch and you see what it means for them to truly believe in what you just said, Mark. And what I mean by that is it is action that speaks louder than words. And this particular pride is probably, I would say this is one of the most important of years when it comes for rights for all people. What do I mean by that? I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again. When I talk about Roe v. Wade, I am not taking one side or the other. When I talk about the Supreme Court's decision, maybe, but whatever, like we're hearing, the argument and the case for overturning it, unless they change their tune, is overturning the fact that what happens between a woman and her body is private. And if they flip that thing, God, who knows what they're going to do. But
Yeah.
if they decide to take that route, there are many other rights that have been incorporated that come under the umbrella. And we're talking about right now, we're talking about this. And this would be one of these things that would be absolutely in jeopardy. And that is the LGBTQ communities, all of them coming together. Now, Mark.
Yeah, I agree.
Let's get at where some people say the movement started. And I want to talk about this a little bit because I'm a little bit, what's interesting is we have redefined this in our time. And again, this is a live call-in show. Y'all can call in. Mark and I are going to chit-chat until you do call in. 1-800-930-2819. What I love about this is the movement. When you look at some of the pictures, and CNN, I just got to talk to you too, because I think you missed the boat in like a million ways. But if you look at what CNN is covering this year, what you find is the landscape of the people walking in the parade, right? When you see this, and then CNN breaks it down, Pride Month is for everyone. And they ask the question, how did it start? We're going to talk about that in a minute. Where did the Pride name come from? Well, how about the rainbow flag? All of the above. But even more importantly, the question that people ask is, can I participate in Pride events if I'm not LGBTQ? The answer, Mark, is...
Why not? I mean, everybody. The thing is, Dr. Pat, I mean, I can't think of any family that doesn't have somebody in it that's LGBT. I mean, this is part of human nature. And what you're talking about before with Roe v. Wade, you know, I'm a member of the United States Supreme Court bar, and certainly in law school, and I've been part of many philosophical legal discussions. The right to privacy is not in the Constitution. Because back in the horse and buggy era of the 18th century, that wasn't something that, in other words, it wasn't unusual for the king's soldiers to kick in somebody's door and ransack their house. And so when the Fourth Amendment, the right against search and seizure, people to be secure in their person, places, and papers, and then as time went on, the right of privacy is considered what's called a penumbric right. In other words, it's not in the light, it's not in the dark, it's in the gray area. And Roe v. Wade was one of the very big right to privacy cases. Now, what's really interesting, and I don't, and I try to avoid politics, but Clarence Thomas has come out very heavily in favor of this potential decision to overturn Roe versus Wade. Well, he's married to a white woman. And prior to the United States Supreme Court case of Loving versus Virginia, the United States Supreme Court said it is unconstitutional to ban marriage between people of different races. So does that mean then the Loving versus Virginia should also be overturned and Clarence Thomas's marriage should be invalidated?
Absolutely. I mean, I say absolutely, but with tongue in cheek. I say absolutely because there will be state by state interpretations that will allow for that to happen or not. But that is the door that's been that we're talking about opening, Mark, right?
Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, from your point of view as an attorney, doesn't it open a door?
It certainly does.
Yeah.
And it's just, and once again, I understand both sides of the argument, with abortion, and I don't weigh in on those. I'm a legal analyst and a constitutional scholar.
Yep.
But when you start saying we're going to overturn this,
Yep.
It's not just that one case, it's going to set off a domino
Yep.
effect. You know,
Yep.
have you ever seen that series? Do we I know we're coming up on a break, but Handmaid's Tale, have you ever seen that?
Oh my gosh, how realistic is that going to start to be, huh?
Well, it's frightening because
It
they
is.
had an episode, and for those of you who are not familiar, I recommend it. It's basically a religious cult has taken over the United States, and living under a theocracy is horrible. And there's a lesbian couple who's married, and they said, "Well, we're married," and the border guard starts smacking them around, saying, "No, you're not." And they take their children away from them. I mean, it shows you what could happen when you start injecting religion into government. And there's another very tightrope we're walking.
Mhm.
It was revolutionary for the United States to put into the Constitution the Establishment and Free Exercise Clause, that Congress shall make no laws respecting the establishment of a religion nor prohibiting the free exercise thereof. Because every other country in the world at the time, with the possible exception of the Netherlands, had a religious head of state.
Mhm.
In Britain, it's the monarch is the head of the Church of England. In France, it was the king. And of course, you had the cardinals, and the various countries throughout Europe all had a religious head of state or adjunct to the monarch. And so it was quite radical for a Western country to separate church and state. But anyway, we could just talk about that all day. And you
Yeah.
want to go to a break, or should we take a call
Well,
from?
I think what we're talking about here today is an opening. And we're going to be taking our callers throughout the show today. Daniel is gathering folks up. This is a live call-in show. And when we come back, we'll go right to the phones. But the thing that I want to say, and this is so important, I work with young people in recovery. I work with people of all ages in recovery, but I've especially worked with young teens. And what I find is how should I call it? There is a resurrection of now a new level of awareness for how this all began. And what's fascinating is when you sit down and you talk to a group of people, young people, and you talk about Stonewall, which now you can Google, this is where it began. And if you're somebody like me who grew up in New York on a summer day, right, in June, barely being of legal drinking age, you were down in the village, and there was no question about it. But there are places that were considered safe, even though Stonewall, mafia owned, paid off the police. On this one day, they didn't get the memo. And what happened on this one day, especially if you were going to raid a bar at like 1 something in the morning, unannounced, and then not let people get out, and then you're lining up, how did they put it? People who were dressed like women, and then people who are dressed and checking their ID. One of the things that happens is people start to revolt. They refuse. And when people, as they say, dressed up as women, and what does that even mean, right? Let's just say women. And you refuse to go to an officer, you start a movement. And you start a movement in a world where this body of people, the LGBTQ plus community, had been beaten. Hate crimes is an understatement. But on this night, on this June night in 1969, on this night that spurred an entire week of people standing up, on this night, history was made. Men refused to show their IDs. People that were suspected of cross-dressing were sent to the back. I mean, it was a crazy scene. I know it. I was there. But the thing that I remember more than any of that, more than the chaos, is watching a woman, of course, what everybody says, watching a lesbian, it's how we read this, watching that person refuse to get. You gotta love your sisters refusing to get in the paddy wagon. Yes, that's what they were called. They're like that's what showed up. And when people refuse to fold under injustice, you begin a movement. That's where this movement began. That's where violence did break out. That's where people, I think they tried to arrest Bob Dylan. I mean, honestly, if you grew up in this part of town and you were down there, Bob Dylan was, you know, like, I mean, there were people, 500, 600 people out there. This became a movement. But why was it different? Here's why it's different. It didn't end here. People got tired of losing their rights. When we come back, this is a pathway where love leads the way. And sometimes, even in love, we have to hold our heads up high and be strong. Let's take a short break. You're listening to The Psychic and the Doc. We are now going to go to the phone lines, readings, conversations, and much more. Let's take a short break, Daniel. We'll be right back. Got a great show. It is a live call-in show, 1-800-930-2819. I hope you're feeling the love. But before we go to the phones, Renee will be right there. Mark.
Yeah.
Tell everybody how your book's doing. Tell them how they can connect with you. Come on, give us the skinny.
Yeah, my book, The Afterlife Frequency, is doing great. It's been designated by prettyprogressive.com as one of the top 16 books about belief in God. Film icon and spiritual legend Shirley MacLaine recommended it. It was considered for a Pulitzer Prize. It's been maintaining bestseller status, and I'm very, very honored that Dr. Raymond Moody and I just did an episode in his Life After Life podcast, and it's going to be featuring my book, I believe, in July. So it has just been really great. And if people want to find out about booking a private reading with me or signing up for my newsletter, I invite you to do that. Please visit my website, afterlifefrequency.com. Also, if you go to my calendar of events, I have 2 spirit communication events later in June, and one's a light circle and the other one is a gallery event. So just please go to my calendar of events and you can register for those. So Dr. Pat, thank you for calling that to everybody's attention. And, you know, I'm ready to take some calls. How about you,
let's
Dr.
do
Pat?
it. I love it. Daniel, who do we have first?
All right. Kicking us off, we've got Renee from Seattle calling in.
Great. Hi, Renee. Welcome to the show.
Hi.
Hi.
Thank you.
How can we help
Hi,
you today?
Well, I read your book. It's wonderful. And
Thank you.
I heard a really strong, booming voice in that hypnagogic state before you fall asleep the other night, male voice. And I'm wondering if you could give me a message from this.
Wow.
Oh, that's interesting. Hold on. Well, let's see who comes through for you. Okay.
Okay.
I'm getting 3 spirits coming in, but I'm getting a male energy coming through. And this guy, he seems like he could have had sort of a medium to more husky type build. And what I'm getting with him is a lot of pain and pressure in my pancreas. Now, when I say my pancreas, what it is, the spirit's transmitting to me sensations. So this gentleman was having either blood sugar issues because the pancreas produces insulin, but he could have been having pancreatitis or pancreatic cancer. And I do feel a nauseated sensation. Nausea is an indicator that he was having difficulty eating and or holding down food prior to passing. Sometimes nausea is a cancer indicator as well. He is either on your generational level or the one just above it. And it does appear to me, based on the physical symptoms that I'm receiving from him, that his passing was not a quick event. And I feel like I'm breaking out into a sweat. So he must have been hot and agitated. Could be chemotherapy, because a lot of times I feel like I'm going to break out in a sweat when the person who passed had to go through a lot of cancer treatments. Does this make any sense to you?
part of it sounds like my father, because he had problems eating at the end of life, and he was in a nursing home. He didn't
Okay.
have cancer, but he had abdominal pain.
Okay. Well, the thing is, a lot of times when I do one-on-one private telephone readings and in-person readings, I go through a whole explanation, and different causes of death or different symptoms may have a similar sensation. That's why I always say nausea could be cancer, but not always. So, and remember I said he's either on your level or the one above it. That would be the parent level. So I believe we got your dad here. Okay.
Yeah.
This is interesting. He's talking about astragalus, not asparagus, astragalus, which is an herb. And I mean, I've seen it. I don't know what it's for, and I'm not prescribing or diagnosing. This could be stay away from it, or you need to take it. But are you doing anything with any type of herbal treatments or something with an herb like astragalus?
I did several years ago, but I stopped it.
Okay. What were you taking? Yeah. What were you doing? What were you using it for then?
I think it was for the immune system.
Okay. Interesting.
And I felt like it was starting to bother my digestive system, so I stopped it.
Interesting, because isn't it interesting that he's given me the nausea and sensations? All right. Let's see what.
Yeah.
What's with you and peaches? Do you love them? Hate them? Peaches, though, can also mean. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say he loved them.
There we go. That's a. Hold on. That's yes. When a spirit gives me a message of an explanatory or advisory nature, he's talking about astragalus and digestion, and you said, okay, I think that could be it. And then they follow up with an objectively verifiable fact. Peaches, he liked peaches. We know we got it. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, he was trying to get hold of you. He's telling me that, interesting, you're having issues with your immune system, even though you may not be fully aware of it. He said you're feeling like a little bit under the weather, but not quite. Like it's not that you're burning the candle at both ends, but something is going on where you're out of sync when it comes to your immune system. And he's talking about a lot of like white blood cells. So your body's fighting some type of infection. Do you have any knowledge of this?
It makes sense. Allergies would do that.
Yes.
And I know that would flare up everything. So, yeah.
Okay, hold on. I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Pat in a second, but I'm going to see what else he is telling me to convey to you. It's so weird. All of a sudden, I feel like my feet are on fire. Are you having any swelling, edema, or issues with your feet?
No, I'll have to think about that, though.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like, they talk about a hot foot, people like light a match. Dr. Pat, I mean, I'd really seriously hurt somebody that did something like that to me, because that's just horrible. But what he's talking about is your feet, but I believe this could be circulation. Okay.
Oh, okay.
And all right. And I'm also getting you eat too fast. Like you're always in a rush.
I used to, but I've really paid attention to that lately.
Good.
I do everything 100 times. Yeah.
Good. Okay. Like so, but I'm trying to see what he was trying to tell you. He's talking to you about your immune system. So whatever it is, maybe you should go check with your allergist, get checked out, because your body's fighting something. Dr. Pat, what do you think? Go ahead.
So I was just going to say, it's funny because I asked my doctor about 2 or 3 weeks ago to order some tests this summer, lab tests I could come in for, and I said one of them I'd like to have at the CBC, and that would show the white blood cells. So,
well, there you go. So then what your dad was getting through to you is a validation that you're on the right track.
Good. Okay.
Yeah. Did you ever get that blood work?
I'm going to be getting it soon. Yeah.
So the conversation, astragalus root is really an interesting root. And for a lot of people, it's ancient in Chinese medicine. For a lot of people, it does exactly what it's supposed to do, right? It takes care of osteo, asthma, nervous conditions, lower blood sugar, all of that. What it's not good for and will cause problems for And this is why we always say, anytime I talk about a supplement, I'm like, go talk to your doctor, your naturopath, your nutritionist, somebody. But it is also it can cause problems if you're taking an immune suppressant drug, and there is a load of them. But it's also they do not recommend it, right? If you're, of course, pregnant, nursing, right? Don't use it. Or if you have any autoimmune disease like RA, rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, MS, any autoimmune disease. And right now that category is blown up. And so it's interesting you're going to get that test, because usually when, Mark, you talk about feet, right?
Yeah.
That feet may show edema,
Yeah.
which may show some signs of something. And so, this is really kind of a message on multiple levels, right? How do you feel? How do you feel physically? Just curious.
Oh, I feel pretty good. I feel better,
Good.
than I did a year ago. I have more time to take care of myself. I was a caretaker, and now I have time to take care of myself. So my feet are really not swollen, but I do have problems with the sole on the right foot, and it gets numb sometimes.
Oh, okay. Yes.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Okay. So numb. All right. Right. Numb. What causes things to get numb? There are a lot of reasons things get numb. Some of them have to do with nerves. Other have to do with pressure. Other may have to do with inflammation, what's putting pressure on nerves, right? So I'm so glad to hear you're going to get the test, right, out there.
Yeah.
That
Good.
you're going to get them.
Yeah.
Do you have any pain other than in your foot?
Oh, yeah.
That's my question. My
living.
sense is you got some pain going on, but I'm not sure where.
Yeah, it's related to the nerve compression in the spine.
Okay,
So
got
it goes
it.
down that way. Yeah.
Got it. Yeah, I got it. Yeah, absolutely. This is one of these shows where you get a message from Mark, and then what I have to say is, if you have the time now to go through and get everything adjusted, take the time to treat yourself well. I mean, including if you have a chiropractor or whoever it is that you can go see. But man, starting with the blood work is great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. The neuropathy thing you mentioned, I'm going to just give you a tip from my personal experience. I'm not sure what your diet is like, but gluten's not your friend, I bet.
Oh yeah, I've been gluten free for several years. Yeah.
So you already got
Yeah.
got your game going on already.
Yeah.
You got
Dr.
game.
Pat,
You got
she's-
game going on. You're like
she's-
way ahead of us.
Yeah,
I'm
she's
trying to
good
be
about-
diplomatic.
Yeah. She's very good about listening to her body. And what Dr. Pat is saying too is, listen to that, but definitely follow up with the blood work, because the numbness and the tingling in your foot could also be blood sugar related, because your dad's spirit brought up diabetes issues. All right. So I don't know if, you're pre-diabetic or something like that. And Dr. Pat brought up a very good point. We are not diagnosing and prescribing.
Right.
Part of what spirits give me is medical information. And I'm telling you what they're telling me and what they're presenting. Now, with astrologists, that could either, and Dr. Pat, it followed up with that, like either, maybe you need it or maybe you don't, but you have to confirm that with your healthcare provider. So what we're doing is pointing you in the direction, because you always have to be careful. I remember talking to a bunch of mediums, and it's like, well, what if you see like a spirit gives me broccoli? Generally people think, well, it's good, maybe just eat broccoli. But what if the spirit's telling you that broccoli will kill you?
Yeah.
So that's why, why I always say, like, it could be this.
Yeah. Broccoli without garlic will kill you. That I'm sure of that. I want to say one last thing to you. Here's the last thing I want to. I want to say this one last thing to you, and then we're going to let you go. When I had neuropathy, I met a man, some weird way, who owned a company, and he was a Vietnam vet, and he owned a company. The company he owned, it was called Topricin. Now, we have no affiliation with him. But little did I know that 6 months later, I would get like mystery body breakdown. The topricin product that he developed for his neuropathy got me through the next 10 years. And I don't know if this call is to just tell you about that.
I love topricin. In fact, many years ago, I won a gift basket from your show, and it had topricin in it.
That's it. You got it, sister. Way ahead of me. Thank you so much. Again, my answer about astragalus root is a no.
Yeah, me too.
Don't do any of that until you get yourself checked out. Thank you. I love it.
Okay, bye.
Daniel, I love this. Daniel, why don't we take a short break? When we come back, we're back at the phones. Y'all listening to the Psychic and the Doc. This is our live call-in show. Our live love call-in show. 1-800-930-2819. Love to hear from you. Katie, we will be right with you as soon as we come back from break. Hey, everybody, welcome back. It's so great to have all of you tune us in and turn us on. You are listening to The Psychic and the Doc. And of course, Mark Anthony is the psychic lawyer, psychic explorer, and I'm Dr. Pat. We are thrilled to have you all here today. This is our live call-in show, 1-800-930-2819. Again, if you want to find out about me and about the network, go to transformationtalkradio.com, the Transformation Network, the Dr. Pat Show. For Mark, why don't you tell folks, Mark, how they can get your book, all of the above, please.
Sure. Visit my website, afterlifefrequency.com, all one word, afterlifefrequency.com, just like my book, The Afterlife Frequency. And I invite you to sign up for my newsletter. Go to my calendar of events. I've got spirit communication events being sponsored, Dr. Pat, by East West Bookshop of Seattle. We're going to have some online spirit communication events. Plus, on the weekend of June 10th and 11th, I'm one of the speakers for Spiritual Awakenings International 2022 Conference. You can find out about that as well by visiting the site. So I got a lot of events coming up, and Rocky and I are going to be back on tour starting in August. I'm going to be going to Phoenix to speak to Helping Parents Heal, which is a really amazing organization that does just that. It helps parents who've suffered the loss of a child, which is the most tragic and painful loss of all, and help them heal. Yeah. And then we've got other events, but you can find out about me at afterlifefrequency.com. And I do recommend everyone go to transformationtalkradio.com, because we had a lot of very exciting developments coming up with the Transformation Network, but it's a secret for now.
What do they say in spiritual terms? More to be revealed. Well, more to be revealed right now with Katie. Let's go ahead, Daniel, and bring Katie on if we could.
All right, Katie from Florida. You are now talking to Dr. Pat and Mark Anthony on The Psychic and the Doc.
Hi, Katie.
Hey, y'all.
Hey, y'all. How can we help
Katie.
you?
Just wondering if any of my family or anyone, friends, might have any messages. I've been going through some difficult times, and I'm just wondering if anybody. Well, I've been going through difficult good times, getting to good times. It's all good times. Okay, anyway.
All right, hold on, Katie. Hold on. I'm getting a female energy coming through. She feels like she's connected to you through her mother's side of the family. She has a very maternal way about her. So it could be a mom, or it could be an aunt, it could be a grandmother, but I really feel a mom coming through. And with her, I'm getting like this very deep, heavy, labored breathing prior to passing. This poor lady, prior to her physical transition, it's like she just could not catch her breath. So this would indicate something was going on with her lungs. Yes, obviously our lungs and heart stop when we pass, but leading up to that, there was some type of dysfunction with her pulmonary system. It's like no matter what she was doing, she simply couldn't catch her breath, get any oxygen into her system. And I'm also getting, she may have actually had to have been on a ventilator or some type of oxygen, because I just feel this clamping sensation around my nose and mouth. Does any of this make sense to you, Katie?
It definitely could. I've lost a lot of people, so I do have somebody in mind, possibly.
Right, but let's go with who's coming. Let's go with
my mom.
Okay. Are you having problems with a washing machine, or is there some issue with a washing? Go ahead.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
Because this spirit's talking about, I'm seeing, you know, when a washing machine, they do that gyration. I forget what they call it. It's like, and it's like not doing it right. So what's going on with your washing machine?
I don't think it's really working really well, and I've been looking for a new washing machine actively.
Okay, you are definitely doing the right thing, because look, if a spirit's going to come all the way from the other side to say, Katie, your washing machine doesn't work, let's do that. And I know that's probably not the message that you were looking for, but hey, it's a pretty good start.
Surely not. Yeah.
Okay, now I'm going to ask this lady to step aside. Don't give me the name. What's the relationship of the person that you had in mind? Let's throw a line out, see if we can get him or her in.
One of my good friends, mom, I helped take care of her when she was dying. So
that's all I need.
It might be her. Her name's Miss. Oh, sorry.
I said, don't give me your name. Okay. Hold on. Wow. Okay. There's a female energy coming through. I can't feel my hands. I can't feel my legs, my feet. So I'm getting numbness, circulation issues. And with her, I feel the sense of exhaustion prior to passing, and dizzy disorientation. So there was something going on affecting her mental focus and clarity, but this does not feel that she was incoherent. This feels like a medication. It just could also be because she was so sick. And the weird thing is, it feels like all the fluids were being drawn to her abdominal region. So it seems like there was fluid buildup in the abdominal region and definite circulation issues. I'm getting this numbness, and now I'm getting all these tingles on my tongue and my mouth. I joke about this a lot with Dr. Pat. It's like, you know, the proverbial 9-volt battery on the tongue and you get the tingles. But when I get that sensation, Katie, what that means is that there was a neurological component. There could have been seizures, convulsions, could also have been strokes. But so to recap, this lady was having circulation issues. I'm having difficulty with hands and feet, fluid buildup in the abdominal region, mental clarity issues, not really dementia, probably more medication, and then some type of convulsion or seizure, possibly a neurological component to it. Does any of this make sense?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I do think it could be that mom. She was very motherly. It could be other people too, but I'm happy to hear from whoever, even if I can't figure out who it is.
Right. But does this sound like the friend you were taking care of?
Yes.
Okay, well that's why I asked. We're going to throw a line out to her. Let's get her in. Okay, now this is really funny. She's putting in front of me a can of sardines and opening them up. Now, some people, it's almost more like anchovies, you know, sardines, anchovies. Do you love those? Do you hate those? Did she love those? Hey, I know that's a weird thing. I don't fling out cans of sardines hoping to get a hit, but is there something about that would make sense, not just to her, but to you in any way?
For me, I would just say I wouldn't like that, definitely.
Okay, hold on. Interesting. She said that you're closing lots of doors, shuttering things. It's not necessarily that you're closing doors and windows in the physical sense. You're shutting yourself off from other people. It's like you've retreated. This is not necessarily a negative. This may be, you know, maybe this means Katie needs to retreat. Okay. But that's what she's saying. And the can of sardines, number one, you don't like them. But she said, though, the downside is it's like you got to be careful with what you're doing, because you're going to end up like canning yourself. And I don't mean like, you know, canning, like killing yourself, but like being like so confined, because like sardines are all crammed in the can. The other thing that she's saying is, wow, sodium, sodium, sodium. So you may be having some blood pressure issues, or your diet's way too high in sodium. Interestingly enough, sardines, anchovies, super high in salt. Okay, Dr. Pat, this sounds like this is right up your alley.
Well, I think part of it is really looking at the whole picture of why the message came through, right? And 9 times out of 10, when you hear something like, what did you say, anchovies?
Yeah.
Okay. I always think about something like that, and I think about, okay, who do I know? Like, who do I know anything about that? And that's really, part of what Mark laid out, is trying to put the pieces together, because it may not even be something like that, but it could be somebody. Like, I have a friend that we can never order a pizza without the anchovies on it. And honestly, and then I have another friend that has to get a whole separate pizza, because if even one little bit of the anchovy gets on like any other slice, it's like, forget it. And so these are the kinds of associations, but there is a message in here for you. And I think you're going to really have to put it together. There are a lot of different pieces, I think, that Mark brought forward. Anchovies are little teeny weeny little fish, right? They feed a lot of other fish. And yet they are so high in nutrients. Anchovies, sardines. I mean, if you ever need to get a protein and fat hit, I had a friend that carried a can of sardines because he was an athlete and he played, and then he would stink up the entire building and he'd crack open that can, and that would be the end of everybody else. But I want to ask you a question. I mean, what is your takeaway from what Mark just shared with you?
Yeah, it definitely resonated with me. I have been closed off, and I have kind of done it on purpose because I just felt like I've been a caretaker for everybody my entire life, and about 3 years ago or so, I just realized I couldn't take care of myself. Like, I didn't know how to take care of myself, and so I've just been on a journey with that. And so the reason it makes sense is, like, I kind of had to an extent. And I went out for the first time last night and played some poker with some
Nice.
over at the assisted living home. So that was good, to get out. And I definitely felt like, yeah, you got to do this more,
Yeah.
Like, I've just been on a healing journey type thing.
That's what I kind of wondered, because that's the sense I got. And, the other sense I got is that you have a really good way to hold a positive perspective, even in the face of fire. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah. That's going to be the most important thing for you to move forward. That is the most important thing for you. It's not that we don't all go through ups and downs and what happens to us in life. It's how we respond and react to them. And you have great energy. I think you're going to be just absolutely fine, but it's going to be a little mystery for you to piece all this together from Mark today. It's
That's
going
exactly
to take
how
you.
I felt.
Yeah, it's going to take you time to just sit and let it come in, because I think there is something else here with this that you know the answer to.
Okay.
I think you know the answer
I'll take it.
to it. Okay.
Oh,
You may not
okay.
want to face
Okay.
it, but it's not a bad thing. Can I ask you a question? Is there, I don't know why
Sure.
I'm going to ask you that. Is there somebody in your life you're really thinking, oh man, I don't really want them in my life anymore? Where did I get that from?
I mean, there have been people where I've gone back and forth on that. There's
Okay.
nobody in particular that's popping in my
Okay.
mind right now, but
Okay. But have you
definitely,
been
like, as far
really,
as
I just want to
Go
know
ahead.
if like you have had the energy being sucked out of you by the back and forth thing, because there's something about this that you have to use discernment. Whatever the situation is, it's about discernment, and put yourself in places where you're going to have fun. Like, what did you say? Do you want to play poker yesterday?
Yeah,
That's
at the
totally fun.
assisted living facility.
You
Yes,
got to keep
it
doing
was.
more of that. Okay. You got to keep doing more of that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Get out. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, keep doing more
I
of
agree.
that.
I agree.
Okay. Yeah.
All
This
right.
is, we're not going to give you any advice. Like, we're not going to tell you eat anchovies. So it's your lucky day.
Right.
But I will say something to
Hallelujah.
you. This is the last thing I want to say to you. Check into how you're doing with your omega-3 oil. Can you check
Ah,
into that? You know what I mean by omega-3
Sure.
oil? Like you take like the natural oil
I do.
capsules. Okay. Do you take them now?
I do not. No,
Have you ever thought about taking them?
but I have. I have.
Okay.
Of
Okay.
course, I'm watching documentaries that are showing, the fish is no good anymore. So maybe there was something else you can take instead of omega now. But
Yes.
anyway, I'll figure it
Yeah.
out. But yeah,
Whatever
I'll
you
keep
do,
that in mind.
figure it out. Figure it out. I mean, my experience in this whole arena is whenever I do anything like that, I get the best and the highest grade product. I make sure that
Yeah.
whatever they're putting in that little capsule, I know exactly where it's coming from, where that fish is being fished from, right? And make sure that the
Right.
processing, yeah. So oil gets rid of squeakiness,
Hmm.
right?
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So just sit there and think about it. What do I need to put some oil on?
Okay.
All right, good.
Sounds like a
Thank
plan.
you. It sounds like a plan to me.
Thanks,
But
y'all.
yeah, you bet. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you. Thank you.
I
Thank you
just
so
got
much.
the book.
Thank
I'm
you,
going to
Katie.
read it. All
Yeah,
right.
read the
Take care.
book.
Bye-bye.
Book's good.
thanks,
Wow, what
Katie.
a great show. Yeah. Great show.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're going to be doing a lot of call-in shows because the so many people have contacted us and said how much they enjoy the call-in shows. So
Mhm.
Dr. Pat and I, we listen to our audience.
Yeah, we do. And that doesn't mean we're not going to chit chat as well. So there's something for everybody here. One of the things that I think it's important is we started the show out, Mark, talking about the fact that really love has no gender. It has
Right.
no ethnicity. It has nothing around it. There's no barriers between race, religion, any of that. Love is love. It's pure. And I think that's the message that, we're bringing forward here. I know on the Dr. Pat Show and the Transformation Network this month. I get a lot of questions, Mark, about, Pat, don't you believe in justice? Especially when I talk about love. And I said, justice is an outcome. How you go about your life and your world and how you carry injustice in your heart is going to be the key. Justice is an interesting word, being a lawyer, Mark. You understand it.
Oh, I do.
Our system understands it. Religions understand it. What do I believe about justice? I have certain beliefs where in my world on any given day, I don't believe anybody's rights should be violated. No one. I think we are one. We're human beings. We are one. We are all the same. And my hope is we remember that. How about you, Mark?
Oh, absolutely. Whenever I receive messages from spirits, they're coming forward because they love the person that they're communicating to. And that messages from spirits are genuine when they're about love, healing, and resolution. They're never about inciting people to anger, bigotry, hatred, or violence. And you have to look at all the great spiritual teachers. All of them talked about love. Love your neighbor. Love your enemies. If more people would love instead of hate and fear, I think we'd have a lot fewer problems on this planet.
Yeah. Wow. What a great show. Mark, again, remind people how they can work with you, how they can get a copy of your book, all of the above.
Visit afterlifefrequency.com. That's my website. And, you can go to all my social media there, my YouTube channel, Instagram, Facebook page. Please follow me there. Sign up for my newsletter. You can schedule readings. And I have a number of events coming up. Plus, You'll be able to find out the next time the Psychic in the Dock is on the air. Spoiler alerts every Thursday, 4 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Mountain, and 4 p.m. Pacific, and all over the world, because we are streaming worldwide. So everybody tune in. Dr. Pat and I will be back next week.
I love it. Thank you all. We love you so much. Thank you. And we'll be planning a way for you to tell us what you'd like more of and make sure we get it to you. Thank you, Mark, for a great show. Thank you, Daniel, for pushing all the right buttons. And thanks to all of you for being the best audience on the planet. We'll see you next time. Hey, everybody. Thank you for tuning into the Psychic in the Dock with Mark Anthony and me, Dr. Pat Baccili, right here on TransformationTalkRadio.com. Hey, look, come back next week so we can explore with you more of life's many challenges and learn from fascinating guests. And you know what? Even Mark and me. We'll connect you and discover insights from people in this life and from the afterlife. Extraordinary problems? Yeah, they do. They require extraordinary solutions. But step into the world of possibilities with us on the Psychic and the Doc. That's every Thursday, 4 p.m. Pacific time, 7 p.m. Eastern time, right here on TransformationTalkRadio.com. That's TransformationTalkRadio.com. And don't forget, we're also live face-to-face on Facebook.com, Transformation Talk Radio.